Welcome to MacTravelling UNPACKED, your go-to podcast for travel tips, hacks and insider insights.
We are Donna and Ian, travel consultants and adventure seekers, and we're here to help you explore the world with ease.
Now this is episode 1, and with this being the first of the new MacTravelling UNPACKED podcast, we decided there's no better place to start than diving into one of our all-time favourite cities, New York.
But that's right, it is a special place with quite a few memories for us, some of which maybe stand out a little more than others, but the less said about that the better, Ian.
Yeah, they're only memorable if you can remember them.
Yeah, well, this is true.
We'll be sharing the best places to visit, must-know travel hacks and expert tips to make your trip unforgettable.
So grab your passport, get comfy, and let's unpack New York together.
Hey Mac Travellers, I'm Ian.
And I'm Donna.
And before we delve into this episode, we wanted to start with a little introduction before we get going on this first episode of MacTravelling UNPACKED.
Well, the start sounds like a good place to begin. So as mentioned in introduction, we are Donna and Ian McIntosh, and we are addicted to travel.
Yeah, so much so that we decided to set up our own travel consultancy, and we now live and breathe and work in travel.
Each episode will be highlighting all the places we've personally visited, the memories we've made, and the top tips we've found along the way. We'll even throw in a few mistakes we've made too. Well, they're not really mistakes, are they, Ian? They're more like life lessons, but we'll share more as we go on.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, I think it's time that we get started and delve into our first amazing destination.
Today, we're going to unpack New York City. Ian, are you ready to unpack the Big Apple?
Absolutely. Let's go. Okay, it's time to unpack our must-see spots we recommend when you visit New York. This is our top 5 attractions in no particular order.
Jeez, it's so hard trying to pick 5, is it? You think you've got the 5 and something else pops into your head.
But it's difficult.
I know, but I think the top one has to be one of the observation decks. There are so many in New York, with new ones opening all the time. I mean, the new one, I think Summit 1 Vanderbilt is the new one that's not long opened. We haven't been there yet, but my favourite one, I must admit, has to be the Rockefeller, Top of the Rock. You think?
It's good, yeah. Why is that your favourite?
I think it's just the views you get. I mean, I know you get amazing views no matter which one you're up, but for me, the Rock, you can see the Empire State Building with the skyline behind you. Go to the other side and you've got Central Park stretching out for miles. I don't think anything can beat it. It's just like that proper postcard view of the city.
Yeah, I think that's a bit that people don't understand. When they go to New York, they want to go and see the Empire State Building or go up the Empire State Building, possibly for King Kong and the likes. But ultimately, the postcard that you do see, you're right. The postcard is Empire State Line and this whole skyline. So the only place you're going to see that is at Top of the Rock.
Top of the Rock.
Yeah.
The other one we did when we were there last time, we went up the Edge, which gives you a more downtown view, and you can kind of see over where the One World Observation Tower is, which I think you can go up that one too, actually. It's got a view platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Edge has got like a glass floor.
Yeah, this is it.
Which was totally freaky. It really was. We were kind of daring each other to stand on it, but it was well worth going up.
That's my favourite so far. You know, we've seen lots of videos and we've done a few of them now when we've been in New York, but certainly Top of the Rock gets you the iconic postcard. For me, the Edge was just cool. I think it was the fact that there was more space. When you're at, when you see certainly at the Top of the Rock and the videos I've seen of Empire State, because we haven't been up it, it's quite narrow, it's quite crammed.
Yeah, I suppose the Top of the Rock is quite
it's
narrow all the way around. Well, it's not narrow, but it's narrower.
Yeah, but when you're up the Edge, the fact that you've got this large open space with chunks of glass floor, chunks of obviously lots of glass walls, so you can actually lean against the walls, which are obviously slanting out, which is scary by itself and certainly gives you a little bit of butterflies going on there.
We could see the Hudson from there as well, couldn't we?
Yeah, we can see Hudson down the right-hand side. You could see the Hudson, and then you could see left-hand side, Hudson, and then right-hand side to Hudson, and then all the way down to, as you mentioned, One World Observation. But what was special about that for us was, it was spacious. There's steps, glass steps there that you can basically sit on and relax. but we went at sunset. And it was the fact that we're there that little bit earlier and allowed us to sit there and watch the sun disappear down. You can see Statue of Liberty in the distance, and obviously the One World observation deck, and they all just disappeared as the sun went down. And that to me was just beautiful. It
but
really
that's
was.
not just that tower. I would say sunset's the best time to book any. So like if you booked your tickets for like an hour before sunset was due, before you go on any of these observation decks, you would get that effect with the light dropping and all the lights coming on in the scrapers.
No, absolutely. Because again, it just depends on what angle you're at, which side of the observation deck that you're sticking out. So that would certainly be your top tip. Would you say go up?
That would be go up at sunset, whichever tower you decide to go up.
Excellent. The next thing that is on our list of top things to do and see as far as attractions are concerned is certainly walk the Brooklyn Bridge. Mm-hmm. Now, at any time, it's obviously amazing, but when we walked across it for the very first time, it was twilight. And as we're walking across the bridge, behind us, obviously, Manhattan was starting to light up. All the lights in the skyscrapers were obviously coming on.
You're making it sound like we didn't do anything during the day. That's twice now we mentioned.
Nighttime, well,
coming on.
When you're eating and drinking and walking about, you sometimes miss it. But the highlights certainly, the city comes alive. It's got a reputation for coming alive at night. But certainly walking over the Brooklyn Bridge is certainly one of that major memories for me. And certainly once you get over the other end of the bridge and you can dip down under the bridge, or Dumbo, which is down under Manhattan Bridge overpass, that whole shoreline of the water looking back on Manhattan is certainly something to remember.
There was something else actually when you come over Brooklyn Bridge. Before you get to the end, it looks like the bridge is continuing on, but there was steps going down.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
So take the steps down, otherwise you'll end up too far into Brooklyn, and we struggled to find our way back to
That's
Dumbo
what we did the first time.
And what have you, because we went too far.
Yeah.
So when you see folks starting to go down the steps, go with them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can remember now the very first time we walked almost right into Brooklyn and then spent another 15-20 minutes coming back down the hill.
We were like doubling back on ourselves without
that's right.
that
So
steps.
Yeah, definitely pay attention to where people are dropping off the bridge the closer you get. You get to Brooklyn.
And if I remember rightly, when we came down off the bridge, there was like there was a pizza place, of course, but there was a little ice cream shack. I remember it being blue and white. And we had an amazing, I can't remember what it was called.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was quite an old wooden painted building.
Yeah, it looked like a really traditional kind of place.
Yeah.
But I remember they had amazing ice cream because we had that and we walked along. I can't remember what the park is actually underneath the bridge.
Yeah, it's other sides.
There is a name, isn't it? There's like the carousel at one side and
the opposite side
at the other, because we sat there and had ice cream and just looked at the, what's it called, the
Manhattan skyline.
Yeah, the skyline. That's it. I couldn't think of the words.
But it was just the fact we're sitting there with our ice cream and just taking it in.
Yeah.
Just taking it in. So certainly, Brooklyn Bridge is definitely one of the top things to do, places to go, attraction to see, for sure. But certainly my top tip, now that we've done it numerous times in colder and hotter weather, remember and take a bottle of water. It's a good length of a walk.
That's a fair walk, actually.
So just make sure you stay hydrated.
Talking of water, you might need water when you go to our next top attraction. I'm talking Central Park. I mean, that place is huge. And how something so big, so beautiful, so green can be in the heart of Manhattan with all the bright lights and the skyscrapers. It's mind-boggling. Yeah,
it is. I think it's the fact that there are literally going to be tens of thousands of people, most likely in the park, and you hardly see anybody.
No, you're it's like being in Duffy Park in Aberdeen. There's just nobody there. I mean, we did spend quite a bit of time wandering about, looking at different sculptures, and I can't remember them all, but I remember in Alice in Wonderland, it was a really good one. And there was a couple of other ones, but they were like, how the bronzy statues that turn gold when people touch them. There was quite a few like that. And then we spent time looking for the bridge that appears in, is it Home Alone 2, isn't it?
Yeah, Lost in New York.
Yeah. I don't actually know if we found it or not. There was a couple of bridges that looked quite similar, and I don't know if we did find it.
I don't think we did. I think there were so many bridges as we went, oh, that's a small bridge there, and then we realised, no, that's not it. That's not it.
We saw a couple getting engaged on one of the bridges.
Yeah, there's quite a, again, using postcard as a phrase, postcard picture of Central Park where there's this large expanding bridge in Central Park.
It was the lake and the little castle behind it.
Seems to be the go-to place to get engaged.
But I'm just thinking, you know that proposal?
Mm-hmm.
He put the ring on her right hand. So I don't know what nationality they were.
That's a little bit strange for me. Like, no, that's reading way too much.
Sorry, we're getting sidetracked.
Your people watching skills is going to a whole new level.
Yeah. Well, there was also the zoo as well in Central Park. We stumbled across that.
Yeah, but why? Why is there a zoo?
Madagascar.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's another film reference.
Yeah. But no, it's so much to do. We didn't take a horse and cart round. The other thing a lot of people like to do is hire bikes. So because it's miles, the park is miles. So again, it's not just about wandering through the woodland and the park and meadows. Again, it's all like everything else in New York. It's all sectioned off. But certainly, you either get in a romantic horse-driven carriage or renting bikes.
It was quite pricey, but I think it would be worth it just for the experience.
Absolutely. You know, Central Park's great.
Yeah, and I thinking as well, they do sometimes have different events on there too. They can hold outdoor concerts, and like Christmas time, well, Thanksgiving into Christmas, you get the big ice rink.
That's right.
It's underneath the Trump Tower. I mean, that's only one ice rink. I mean, they've got many at that time of year.
There's many throughout the city, but certainly there's the big one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
As you look back down towards Manhattan, you see Trump Tower at one side, and then back towards the end of the park. Once we've left Central Park, the next big stop on our journey of places to go and see and the best attractions is none other than Times Square.
Oh, wouldn't it be a countdown without that on it, would it?
No, absolutely. It's one of them things that you go to see the lights, the amount of people, and it's obviously, again, postcard, movie famous, you know, Times Square, you know, everybody knows what Times Square is when they see it, but it's just one of them, you just have to go.
Yeah.
I don't know why you go. Other than to see big buildings and big billboards.
It's just like Piccadilly in London on steroids.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's definitely one of them things that...
But it's not just the billboards, they've got special effects on them. It looks like things are jumping out the billboards at you. It's
almost like a 4D type of thing. Yeah. But it's just strange. Just to be able to tick, again, it's one of that tick box things. There's so many things to do in New York that will create lots of memories for you. But just being able to stand in the centre of Times Square, just standing for a moment, paying attention to what's going on around about you, the people, the lights, the colours. It's just to say you've been there is obviously outstanding.
They've got like little steps as well that you can go and sit on, so you're out the crowd.
Oh, that's your favourite bit, because you've got elevation and your people watching skills kick in again.
I'm just nosy. Simple. Just simple.
But again, you find lots of stuff on the internet, especially all over social media, where even musicians or artists will be there filming something while there's obviously live action going on behind them. And that steps is obviously quite an iconic, but I think it used to be called the ticket steps, because there was a ticket booth.
The ticket office, it was underneath.
Used to be, it's not there anymore, I don't think, but certainly it used to be there, so it was tickets steps. But again, just sit there for a moment, take it in. There is now cafe kiosks and stuff in that area, so you can just be sitting on the sidewalk, paying attention to what's going on. But great. But certainly, my big top tip for Times Square is there is lots of people, so practice safe travelling by keeping your personal belongings secure. You know, it may be common sense, but literally there are thousands of people if you go there at night. So just keep yourself safe, like any city, no matter where you are in the world. Make sure that your personal belongings are secure.
Having said that, there is a police presence there. They've got that little NYPD box.
But police are there. Yeah,
the police
absolutely.
were lovely, because remember they took a selfie with our daughter.
That's right. Yeah.
She had her NYPD jersey and they took a selfie with her.
Yeah. So it's just that thing. You know, wherever you go, you always want to practice safe travel. But the biggest thing to avoid, probably the biggest tip to do with Times Square, is avoid individuals dressed up as characters. You will see Mickey Mouse. You will see Iron Man. You might even see a naked cowboy kicking about. Yes, I said naked cowboy. But no matter what you do, if you take a photo of them or
There's
get a
reason
photo
for
with
people
them,
watching.
they're going to hustle you for money. Yeah? And how many times I had to drag Donna by the naked cowboy.
That's another story, though.
Was an understatement. So, yeah. But Times Square, yeah, excellent place to stop off.
So moving on from there, probably back down to the other end of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And this is one that I recommend. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but I did, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it's the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. I found it fascinating. It was so sympathetically done.
Yeah, agree.
Whether you're outside at there's two fountains and like the footprints of the two towers, there's names around them. It's actually got an eerie feel to it, a very tranquil.
It's a very quiet area.
Yeah.
So, what I got from it was the fact that people were being respectful in the sense, at that memorial pools, which are basically symbolic of the footprint of the two towers that came down. It was just as if you'd walked from a busy part of New York into a quiet part of New York. And yes, there was definitely people outside enjoying their their trip, but certainly it just seemed that the whole vibe changed.
The atmosphere changed.
Not in a negative way. It was nice.
I mean, we did go into the actual museum. We only did that once.
Yep.
And I thought it was very tastefully done. It was very interesting. It was very factual. It was extremely moving.
It was immersive, I would say.
Yeah.
Because you felt, I think the way that they did it, obviously, because you're effectively going down and down and down in the museum. And the further you got down, the further you were immersed into what would have been the horror.
Yeah.
That was 9/11.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter if it was a burnt out ambulance that you saw or uniforms. I remember there was even a smell.
There was a smell, and it was the sounds. You couldn't cope with the sounds.
Yeah. What were they again?
It was like a distress.
Yeah, it was emergency responders distress. So
Yeah.
if somebody's down, it's like man down situation. So I can only assume it's all first responders in that sense. But when they go down, they also must press like a panic button, and there's this beeping noise.
I'm actually getting quite emotional just thinking about it. But
And for me, it was, again, the further we got on and got more immersed into, the museum, which was so well done, this beeping noise then took over for me.
yeah.
And at that point, it just made me feel so uneasy that I started to feel sick.
It kind of brought a visit to an end.
It was a little bit,
wasn't it?
I'm not really sure about this, and I had to basically fast track myself out of there to get some fresh air because it was so emotional. But at the same time, I think if you go to New York, I think if you want to respect it and understand a little bit about it, you go and see it because it's well worth your time.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. But you also have to be mindful of what it is. I mean, when we were there, we experienced younger people, I will say, taking selfies within the museum, and I didn't like that at all.
Oh,
I
it was
just
awful.
thought that was so disrespectful.
Yeah. No, I hated that. And that was, to be fair, that was in the first 100 yards.
Yeah, we weren't far into the
literally
museum at
just
that
got into the
point, and I just
museum.
kind of thought, wow, really?
Yeah. And I just thought, there was a big bit of burnt steel, like a column. And I remember it was a couple of girls, and they were taking this picture, selfie, smiling away, peace signs, and all they could see was the burnt steel behind them. And I thought, we're literally not even 100 yards into the museum.
It was quite disturbing, actually.
And I thought, that is people not respecting what's happened and what the building's about. So,
but on the whole, I would recommend people go to this museum.
I would as well, but I would certainly urge caution.
But I think it would be a once. You wouldn't go back.
Yeah,
it would be a one visit thing. Although the pools outside, we've been to them a couple of times now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just been down in that area.
Just because it's so tranquil, serene.
They've also redeveloped a lot of it. The tube station that's there is obviously well developed.
Oh yeah,
now.
it's like a dove, isn't it? Is it a dove of freedom or something? It's
something
called,
like that.
isn't it?
Yeah. And there's a lot of food area. So there's lots of really good stuff about little districts of New York to go and see. So it's not a case if you don't go down to the south island anymore, you literally can. But yeah, you're right. You probably experience it once,
Yeah.
appreciate it, and then decide, yeah, if I'm back in New York ever again, if I'm lucky, I'll maybe go down to the pools because we're bypassing it, maybe to go to Brooklyn Bridge or Wall Street or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Donna, that takes us to the end of our first top 5 list. How did you find it?
Well, it wasn't easy, that's for sure. There's so many great things to do. I mean, as I said at the start, there's new things pop into your head all the time. Plus, of course, I'm a woman of a certain age, shall we say, that my memory is maybe not as good as it really should be.
So we're blaming age now. Okay. It's fine.
I'll take one on the chin. It's fine.
You take one for the team,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we won't be blaming age later on. We'll be blaming something else, which will which we'll let our listeners hear about.
Yeah.
Moving on now to our next top 5, we're going to discuss food and drink highlights. So it's time to unpack our food and drink top hotspots that we recommend on your visit. So this is our top 5 food and drinks you've got to try.
So let's delve into my favourite part, the drink scene. Oh, sorry, the food scene. Food. I meant to say food. Ian, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, no problem at all. And I'm not starting at a bar, I'll tell you now. The first thing, again, one of the first memories on I think it was our first trip to New York, we went for breakfast at Ellen's Stardust. Now, this is a very famous cafe restaurant just off of Times Square on Broadway. Now, this is a fantastic experience, and I say it's an experience. Now, we visited for breakfast. Now, picture this, sitting there having your breakfast, and the servers start singing songs from musicals all around you, which is pretty cool considering you're on Broadway. It's like having a Broadway show while having your food. They are singing for tips, so make sure that if you are going to visit Ellen's Stardust that you bring a few dollars to tip the staff because they are amazing.
And be prepared to queue to get in.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there was quite a queue to get in. But my one take from Ellen's Stardust is I'm a tea Jenny. I like my tea, but I thought, right, we're in first time in New York. I have to have some New York coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah, coffee, yeah.
This stuff was so strong. I could feel my eyes rolling in my head. I was having heart palpitations. I had a proper caffeine buzz. I was so close to getting up on the tabletop and singing with the servers.
Yeah, you had 2 cups and it was halfway through your second cup that your pupils dilated as if you were on something illegal. And it was literally
coffee.
It was second cup of coffee. So whatever you do, if you're wanting entertainment, it is iconic.
Take Donna on holiday.
Ellen Stardust. As iconic as Donna drinking the coffee on that day, it's certainly one of the places to go for an experience of Broadway and New York breakfast all at the same time. The food was very good, by the way.
Well, after that, after the coffee high, we moved on to lunch and I remember we went to, it was Carnegie Deli and Diner, which I think the original one we were in is now closed, but they do have other ones.
Yeah, that's right. It was originally called the Carnegie Deli, and it was opposite the Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
Which is at the north end of Manhattan as head towards Central Park.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I think our last visit, it was now Carnegie Diners.
Yes.
And there was a few of them we saw.
But we were in there and we actually shared a pastrami sandwich. You can't go to New York without a pastrami sandwich, and this thing was huge. So we shared it. But having a second stomach for dessert is always a good idea because we then shared a New York cheesecake.
Yeah.
So I can definitely recommend, if you go, you have to have pastrami sandwich and cheesecake. You can even go to KATZ Deli. That's another one that is good for these things. That's the one that was in the film When Harry Met Sally. Who was in that again?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Meg
Ryan. That's such a bad one.
Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal.
I think there's a new version of that floating about.
Yeah, there is. And
on Instagram and TikTok just now.
And it's still in KATZ Deli.
Is it?
So they've got Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan now, obviously in their 60s or more, doing exactly the same scene from the film.
I haven't done that yet. I'll need to go
KATZ
back to
Deli.
New York to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But our top tip then is if you're in New York, you must have a pastrami sandwich and a New York style cheesecake. But because they're so big, we recommend sharing them.
Right, moving on, we're going to head down for something to eat down at TimeOut Market. Now, this opened up a few years ago over the Brooklyn Bridge, just down under Dumbo. There are a few TimeOut Markets now across the States. Effectively, they are venues that have multiple eateries and bars and the like. And certainly, you know, this is an old warehouse under Dumbo. So as you come across Brooklyn Bridge heading towards Brooklyn, it just dips off the left-hand side. And it's not far, but just being able to go over there in the morning, we decided to head over there and get our breakfast. So we went to ESS-A-BAGEL, which has multiple ESS-A-BAGEL outlets within Manhattan. So certainly a great place for something to eat. So we went there for our breakfast. These bagels are big.
That was a fair size.
They are, you know, we had one each because we wanted different toppings, but ultimately they were probably a very heavy breakfast in the sense because it's a fully loaded bagel. But you know, if you're going to go over there for a breakfast in that scale, then you'll be thinking I won't be needing anything until mid-afternoon. Or you do what most people should be doing with a lot of stuff in America if you go over, is the fact that you should be sharing, because at least you can sample more food as you go along. But I certainly found it to be a great place. You could understand the vibe that was going to be there. Certainly you can imagine it being busy around at lunchtime and supper time in the evening as to what they're trying to do there. But certainly I know there's a few TimeOut Markets, you know, certainly. I think they could even be across the world now, but certainly multi kiosk eateries and stuff like that. So a great little place, again, just escaping Manhattan in that sense.
But when you're there as well, another top tip for you, the TimeOut Market, find the lift, the elevator, and take it up to the top. They've got like a big outdoor deck.
That's right.
And it had absolutely amazing views, again, over that skyline.
Yeah.
But it was just from a different perspective of being on the bridge, or you were just up higher looking down. Yeah,
you had the elevation and you could get across, you know, again, it was a great picture. You could get across going through the middle of the Brooklyn Bridge almost to the skyline. So it was just something there. Again, it's these iconic memory images that you'll get by seeing and doing when you're in New York. But at the same time, when you come back to look at your photo reel, when you come back, picking up these little nuggets of where to get some good photos is obviously key.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got your photos. We're now coming back over the bridge, back into Manhattan, and everybody that goes to New York has to try a dollar slice. New York is famous for the dollar slice, although I don't think it's so much a dollar anymore. I think you're probably more like $1.50, $2, but it's still classed.
Yeah, it broke my heart when it moved from $1 to $1.50, I must admit.
Now, I think we found, was it Joe's?
Joe's
was
probably
one of the best ones, and there seem to be several of them kind of scattered all over. But if you've done a day of walking, you just need something quick to refuel. Nothing beats a slice of pizza.
Oh, they're great. They're everywhere, and you know, because people speak so highly of dollar slice just as a concept, and then they try and put their top however many dollar slice eateries there are in the takeaway kiosks. You know, it's as if you must find Joe's or you must find this one. Rubbish.
I don't think we've had a bad one.
We've not had a bad one yet. No, definitely not. Certainly, so from my top tip perspective on it, is apart from the fact that it's cheap, and getting anything to eat cheap in Manhattan is pretty hard to
Here's one of the
come by.
Pre-mentioned mistakes coming up. Pay attention.
Absolutely. So normally, you know, you'll go up and you'll see the big signs everywhere, $1.50 probably for your slice. And they also do meal deals. So you get the big poster on the outside just as you're walking in, you say, oh, meal deal, like $2.50 or $3. I think that's great. So you go up to the counter, and a lot of the time when you go into these dollar slice venues, it's a case of you're ordering one element, you know, over the counter to a server who's basically in control of the pizzas, and then you come down to the till at the end. And the first time we went in there, you know, there was Donna and I, and we had two of our kids with us. And it was a case of, what kind of pizza do you want? And it was a case of, okay, so everybody knew what pizza they wanted. So I went up and I ordered the pizza, came down the other end, and I said, I'll have some juice, because I knew there was water or cans of juice available in the meal deal, and I would order it. Now, when I came away from there, I was thinking I was going to be maybe $10, $12, because it was like, say, $2.50 per meal deal, and it was something like $17 or $18, and I thought, why have they charged me so much? So the big rookie mistake was, when you go to these dollar slice places and they advertise a meal deal, it's a cheese slice. So a cheese and tomato pizza. So it's a cheese slice is what you're ordering.
Plain margarita.
The minute you start asking for pepperoni or ham or whatever with a juice in a can, you're going to be charged per item. So get the value. Right? Take this as advice from a very tight Scotsman when it comes to his money. Order a cheese slice with a water or a juice. That's a meal deal. Save yourself a fortune. Job done. If you want pepperoni and ham, make sure you bring some extra money with you. But top tip is definitely cheese slice all the way. Save the dollars.
Okay, so while we're on the subject of Titus Scotsman,
Cheap.
yeah, being cheap, we cannot have a food and drink list for New York without mentioning one proper dive bar. I'm talking Rudy's.
Say that again?
Rudy's.
Rudy's. Yeah, you want to spell that for the people that maybe don't understand our strong Scots dialect.
Is it that bad?
It could be.
All right. Rudy's.
Save that because you're going to need to Google this later.
Right. So simply put, this is a no-frills traditional dive bar that you find all the locals are in it. There's been a few famous people in it over the years, I believe. I'm sure they had photos on the wall. I can't really remember. But it's about a 10-minute walk from Times Square.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay, Ian. Yeah, it's about a 10-minute walk from Times Square, roughly.
Yep, that's right.
And we made it there on our last trip, finally.
Finally got that. Yeah, so picture this. There is a 6-foot tall pink pig waiting for you on the pavement outside this bar.
So if you don't know how to pronounce the bar, just ask somebody about a pink pig.
Pink pig. So if you don't understand Rudy's. Again, there is obviously Babe Ruth. A lot of Americans, know him as Rudy. So it could be something like that. But certainly, Rudy's a big pink pig, about 6 foot tall, with a red waistcoat. Now, this bar inside is nothing fancy. Typical old sports bar. But it's certainly, from our perspective, had the friendliest people in it as customers
all
and
the groups
servers.
were mingling. It was brilliant.
It was complete strangers coming over because they could pick up Scottish accents because there was a group of 4 of us.
Yeah.
And wanting to buy us drinks because they appreciated us coming into that type of venue.
No, the drinks. But they had like their own draft beer.
Yeah, they did.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was one of the cheapest beers that we'd found on the whole of Manhattan Island.
I think it was only about $5. And for a pint of draft beer in New York, that's probably about half the price.
Yeah. And I mean, they had all the normal, just a bar, well-stocked bar. But I think the top tip there, I'll let you do it, Ian. You do the top tip.
Okay, so the top tip when you go to Rudy's is that it offers free hot dogs with every drink. That's right, free. They're not going to give you a hot dog every time that you order a beer, but they will give you if you ask. So the top tip is to make sure you take them up on the offer, as the drinks are strong, as we found out. And we certainly realised after being 2 or 3
Here's another mistake incoming.
The rookie mistake for sure was not ordering the hot dogs earlier.
Well, we were trying to be polite.
You think?
Yeah. You didn't want to come across as being overly greedy.
No, is that what it is? But yeah, I think it was at the tail end of the day, so we're tired as well. So the thought of we really should have had beer, hot dog right at the start and settle in.
That's hindsight.
Yeah, but hindsight's only something
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
That you can remember.
Okay, carry on.
No, it's up to you now.
No. I know you're itching to tell the story, so
right, okay.
I may as well just lay it out there for everyone.
So there is a story that maybe not to be told in this episode.
But you're going to do it anyway.
Where those who are in the story will remain anonymous, but they will recall Donna and...
It's supposed to be anonymous?
No, but you were there. Donna and her female counterpart, not remembering much after Rudy's, while myself and the male counterpart of the other couple, we both dropped the girls back at the hotel and managed to still have enough energy in us to pop out for another slice of pizza.
Right, I think, okay, enough said, okay?
It is one of them stories that'll go down in folklore
Yeah,
for sure.
never going to be able to live that down, am I? Honestly.
Well, it's memories that the two of us out of four have.
Right, we'll just move on, okay? That's that part done. So that's our food and drinks top list with a couple of extras thrown in. There's so many other places that we can think of. So we might have to do another podcast, on food and drinks alone, do you think?
I think so. But I think like the last list, because we've been to New York so often, it's nearly impossible to narrow down our favourites. And already I'm having regrets about some of the highlights we could have included. That's a wrap on this part one of this two-part New York special of MacTravelling Unpacked. Make sure you listen to part two, where we'll finish our journey through the Big Apple.
So if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps more travel lovers like you to find us.
For more travel highlights and tips, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at MacTravelling. And if you're ready to plan your next trip, we're here as your trusted travel consultants to help.
So until next time, keep your passport handy, your bags light, and your excuses for another holiday ready.
And remember, airports are the only place where drinking at 6 a.m. is socially acceptable.
Safe travels.